Welcome everyone, I'm Teresa Shaheen, the Sheila and Ron 92 Marcello Lecturer of Social Entrepreneurship here at Yale School of Management. And this morning I'm delighted to invite Preeti Venkat, the Research and External Partnership Lead at Cushy Baby, who is a Yale alum that's here to talk to us about social entrepreneurship and maternal child health in India. Thank you so much for joining us, Preeti.
Thank you for having me.
So last week we had Doug Rao, the president of Daily Table and former president of Trader Joe's, who started his social enterprise as a retirement project, or as a second career, I should say. It's much more than that. And this week we have someone who started their organization, or the team started the organization while they were students at Yale. They had a team of undergraduates, Yale Public Health students, School of Management students, and it's still ongoing and they have big plans for it. So could you please tell me a little bit about Cushy Baby?
Sure. So Cushy Baby means happy baby in Hindi. And so it's our goal to make sure that babies are happy and healthy. And we intend to do that by sort of reimagining the way that maternal and child health is tracked at the last mile. And by that I mean in the most remote, difficult to reach areas in the world. So right now we're working in Udaipur in the state of Rajasthan in northern India. And one of the reasons we decided to work there is because there's a huge morbidity and mortality burden in the area.
So many women die during childbirth?
Yeah.
And many children die shortly after.
Right, from vaccine preventable causes, completely preventable causes, which just sort of further emphasizes the fact that these are completely unnecessary and unacceptable death rates.
And you're focusing on vaccines?
So we started with a focus on vaccines, basically trying to improve vaccination rates and adherence to the vaccination sort of routine immunization scheme for the first year of life for children. And that's kind of how we started. That's what we did our pilot study on. But now it's kind of sort of shifted in focus so that we are trying to target mothers at an earlier time point. So the idea is that if we try to engage a mother in the health system at an earlier point, meaning during the prenatal care period, will that sort of improve her chances of sticking with the health system and improve the rates of immunization subsequently for her child.
Okay, so you started off piloting the idea, can we improve vaccination? And then you moved on to say, can we catch mothers earlier on in the prenatal period, get them to get care during the prenatal period, and then immunize their children after?
Right.
So do mothers in India seek prenatal care? How prevalent is that?
Yeah, so there is a system in place in these rural areas of India. There are health camps that take place once a month, and there are community health workers known as ASHA workers that go out door to door. They try to recruit mothers to come to these camps to receive prenatal care. There's 3 or 4 prenatal care visits that they're supposed to receive during pregnancy. And then there are scheduled immunization camps for children once the child is actually born. And that system is in place, but it's not the best system. Unfortunately, it's very difficult for these ASHA workers to go door to door, traveling several kilometers at a time. Right. Sometimes they get there and the mother's not even there. And for the mother to actually come to these health camps can be challenging as well. Sometimes for personal home reasons, they aren't allowed to leave the house with the child and go to an immunization camp. Sometimes because of weather conditions or difficult terrain, it's difficult to get there. And then the other big problem is that once they do actually make it to the camp, the way that the vaccinations or healthcare is administered and then tracked is also not the best. It's all done through a paper record system, and in the end, a lot of mothers and children end up falling through the cracks. They're just not able to be monitored.
Okay, so the system is already in place. There are ASHA workers who are community health workers doing outreach to mothers being encouraged to go to the immunization camps, but people are falling through the cracks for reasons of distance, culture, and paperwork. Mm. So what is Cushy Baby and how is it changing that?
Sure. So Cushy Baby is essentially a wearable mobile health platform.
A wearable mobile health platform. What does that mean?
Yeah, so the wearable component is actually a digital necklace, and it looks like this. I don't know if that's visible on
You're
the
wearing
screen.
one.
I'm wearing one. So basically, in this necklace, there is an NFC or near field communication chip that's
Okay.
embedded inside. And the way that that works is similar to the way that you scan into apartment buildings or hotel rooms. It's the same kind of technology that is used with Apple Pay and some of these mobile
Okay.
pay options. It's basically a radio frequency technology. I don't know too much about how it works, but it's pretty, basically all Android devices now come with an NFC scanner on
I
them.
see.
And I believe even the new iPhones now have that capability too. So the way that it works is that a mother or child would come into the health camp with their necklace. If it's their first time, they would be assigned a new necklace. And the health worker or the ANM, auxiliary nurse midwife, that's the type of nurse that is usually the one administering the immunizations, providing health care. So they would be equipped with a mobile tablet that has our Cushy Baby app on it. And so they would use the tablet to scan the chip, and that would prompt them to fill out the patient's health record or update the record based on whatever services were rendered that day. And then they scan the chip once more, and the data is then stored locally on the necklace and on the tablet itself. And that whole interaction can happen without the need for any Wi-Fi or cellular connectivity or anything like that. So it sort of completely decentralizes the whole process and kind of keeps the data with the patient and puts the patient at the center of the health system.
Do patients have any concerns about either privacy or just wearing this necklace around their neck or cultural issues?
Yeah, so actually that we thought a lot about that when sort of coming up with the design for this necklace. Initially, we thought about putting it in the form of a silicone band or an anklet. There's tons of different ways you can embed an NFC chip in just about anything. But when the initial pilot work was done, we noticed that a lot of mothers and children in the area were, excuse me, a lot of mothers and children in the area were already wearing these sort of black thread necklaces or bracelets.
Oh, interesting.
And that sort of fits in with a common cultural custom in India and in many other parts of the world, actually, we've found. But I was also sort of aware of this custom just growing up. But it's the idea that this black thread or kala daga is thought to ward off evil spirits or the evil eye, which is known as nazar or buri nazar. This is a pretty pervasive custom, I would say, in many Indian cultures. Like I said, I was aware of it growing up. Sometimes mothers will put like a black blemish on the child's face to kind of mark that this child is perfect. I have to add an imperfection to keep away the evil eye. So it's thought of as being something protective for the child.
So it was already part of the culture.
Yeah, and we brought this necklace, this pendant on a black thread as one of the potential form factors, and kind of showed mothers and said, "What do you think? Here's a silicone band. Here's a necklace. Here are all these different different form factors," and it was almost unanimously that they decided that this was the one they liked. They liked that. You can't see it on my necklace, but sometimes the chip in the middle, the black side on the other side will be facing the inside, so it will be facing the front. So they liked that was kind of another way to sort of ward off the evil eye. They liked the black thread.
Okay.
So it kind of fit nicely into what was already a cultural norm.
Okay, so this is an object. How much difference can an object make when you're talking about a really complex health system that has to do with infrastructure, stakeholders, underlying poverty and weak health systems? How are you interacting with the health system more broadly speaking and trying to strengthen it?
Sure. So it is just an object, but we like to think of it as having the potential of being more than just that. So we looked at this sort of in our pilot work to see, does this necklace have the potential of being more of like a social symbol that other mothers might be able to see on another child wearing the necklace and think, oh, I wonder where they got that necklace from. I would like one for my child as well, and kind of help to generate discussion and engage more people in the health system. And we did find in our initial pilot work that, yes, mothers tend to like this form factor compared to the paper record that they were using. But not only that, we also found that having the necklace sort of generates more discussion. We tried to see how many other people did you talk to in the community about this necklace, and we found that there was a statistically significant difference. We looked at how visible the necklace was to other members of the community and other members of the core family, specifically fathers of the household and grandmothers of the household. And these are two sort of key family members that play a major role in these Indian families in rural areas. And so we found that maybe this has a potential of engaging other members of the family in the child's health. So I do believe strongly that more than just being a necklace or another medical record, this actually has the potential of being sort of a campaignable symbol of good health.
Of changing patterns and trends and mindsets.
Yeah. And we hope that, if a mother is wearing this necklace or has her child wearing this necklace, it should be almost a point of pride for them to say, I care about my child's health and I have something to show for it. And other people can see that too, and maybe that will make them want to be a part of this as well.
Okay. So where is this all going? You live in the U.S. You're trying to change the way maternal child health or reimagine maternal child health in India. What is your plan? Is this ultimately something that's going to become an independent Indian nonprofit, or what's the plan for financial sustainability? Will there be a local chief executive running it in the future?
Yeah. It sounds crazy because we have a lot of members scattered across the U.S., but thankfully we've established a very solid team on the ground in India. So we would be nothing without our frontline health workers. They are there every single day, 24/7, working with the community. And so I guess the first big step is sort of expanding our operations to cover all of maternal and child health tracking in Udaipur by the end of 2019. That's the next sort of major goal. We already have the funding that will, the financial runway that will take us to that next level. And I should mention that we are currently working with the local district government in Udaipur in our second randomized controlled trial. So hopefully with the data we get from that study, we'll be able to actually show that our system has value within the government's camps.
Can the government afford to institutionalize it in the future? How much does it cost per person?
Yeah, so the necklace costs less than $1, 50 rupees. We've done some of the cost-benefit analysis, and I believe per child, if you convert it to US dollars, the cost is about $5.80. I'll have to double check, but I think that's correct. And the net profit per child is about 50 cents. There is sort of this big...
Do you mean cost savings?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean by profit?
From not having to go through extra health services and things like that. Sorry, lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We can cut this part.
Okay. What was I talking about?
Well, I was asking you if the government will institutionalize it. And
yeah.
I guess I want you to speak to not just if they can afford it, but so many times things sound, we're still cutting this part, so many times things sound like, oh, you'll save money if you do this, but we all know governments still don't do it. So what's the plan there?
Right, okay.
Let me know when you're ready and I'll signal to them.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start again now. Thanks.
So it's actually, I think we're sort of entering this market at the right time because as a nation, India has been pushing for this Digital India initiative, basically this push to digitize health records throughout the nation. And that is already being put in place within local districts throughout India. So the local district government that we're working with already sort of has
You're definitely in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think so. They have an incentive, is what I mean to say.
Okay.
They are already looking into other existing mobile health apps that are tracking and collecting maternal and child health information. But we like to think that our system has an advantage because it's completely decentralized. It has this extra cultural component that we think adds value and makes it more likely to be sustainable and well adopted in the future. And so if we're able to prove that, there's already space and, there's already...
there's a market for it.
Yeah.
So you started with this pilot to test the appetite among the women. Now you're doing a randomized control trial to prove that it saves the government money. And eventually you'd like to compete with other potential providers for the Indian government or the local district government to uptake this and institutionalize it and be the providers themselves.
Exactly.
Wow, big task. Okay, we're going to have to invite you back in a few years and see how that went.
Yeah.
Any concluding thoughts that you'd like to add?
I'm happy to be here. I never thought that as a student I could be a part of something this exciting and this big. I guess I just want to say that it's definitely doable. I don't think I thought this big when I was a student at YSPH, and I just wanted to get involved with an exciting project that was working, in rural development. And I didn't think it would be. I wasn't thinking big enough, but I guess I would just encourage people to think big because it happened really fast, and now I feel like I'm part of something that could actually make a difference, and that's really exciting. It's an amazing feeling.
Thank you so much for your work and for coming back to share it with us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.